Kitchen remodel. That's how the whole mess started. New cabinets, quartz counters, the whole Pinterest fever dream. My wife, Nora, had been begging me for it for years. We finally had the savings, so I said, yeah, let's make this place look like a magazine. Enter Miles. Contractor. Mid-30s, tan sleeve tattoo, I only drink black coffee type. He shook my hand like he was auditioning for a commercial. We'll take good care of you, he said, eyes flicking to Nora a second too long. I clocked the look and let it slide. People are human. Whatever. The first couple days were normal. Demolition noise, dust in the air, me taking calls from the upstairs office while his crew hauled out our old life piece by piece. Then I started noticing the small shit. Nora bringing him coffee. Nora staying in the kitchen to ask about tile spacing for 20 extra minutes. Nora's laugh, that particular one, the one she uses when she wants someone to like her. One afternoon I came downstairs for water. She was standing close to him, both peering at an iPad over backsplash options. His fingertip brushed her knuckle. She didn't move it. She smiled. That smile. My stomach dipped, but I said nothing. Went back upstairs. Stared at my spreadsheet while my head filled with white noise. That night, Nora said, Miles thinks we should go matte black on the hardware, like Miles had always had a vote in this marriage. I said, whatever you want. She kissed my cheek and turned away too fast. The next morning I bought 2 Wi-Fi outlets that totally help with power monitoring. One went behind the coffee machine, one in the living room. Both had pinhole cameras. I smiled at my own reflection in the microwave and thought, don't be dramatic. Don't be insane. Just make sure. A week later I wasn't guessing anymore. And that's when the crack across my life stopped being hairline. Because I watched them on my phone in real time, forget the cameras existed. And I didn't say a word. The first time I caught them was Tuesday, 11:13 a.m. I was on a Zoom stand-up with my team, camera off, mic muted. The living room feed popped a motion alert and there they were, the two of them, leaning on the island like it was a bar at midnight and not my fucking kitchen at lunchtime. No kissing. Not yet. Just that body language people use when they know they're doing something wrong and they're trying to pretend it's fine. I hit record. Kept nodding at Steve from DevOps like I cared about the deployment window while watching my wife touch the contractor's forearm like it was the first time she'd ever seen a human with muscles. The second time, Friday, the audio actually picked up. Miles, he around? Nora, upstairs. Headphones. He never hears anything. Miles laughed. My chest went cold. I ended the meeting, put my headphones on for show, and sat on the floor of the hallway like a ghost while downstairs she said, very softly, we shouldn't, and then didn't move away. I didn't storm down. I didn't explode. I slid my phone into airplane mode, saved the clip to a fresh, anonymous cloud, and titled it tile_consult_01.mp4 because petty is underrated. That night Nora came to bed smelling like sawdust and someone else's cologne. Demolition dust gets everywhere, she said, giggling. I said nothing. I counted the beats of my heart like I was keeping time for a bomb. The next morning I stopped by the permit office to clarify inspection dates. I wasn't there for dates. I was there for names. Miles's license. His company registration. Insurance details. We've had a couple complaints lately, the clerk said, rolling her eyes. Guy's good but sloppy. I smiled. Thanks. Good to know. On my lunch break I built a new Gmail, new Drive, new encrypted notes. I labeled folders receipts, timeline, witnesses. It felt less like I was snooping and more like I was building a case. Because I was. By the end of week 2 I had timestamps, GPS pings from the AirTag I'd slipped into Nora's tote, so you never lose it, and enough audio to make my skin crawl. And then the kitchen cam caught the first kiss. I paused the footage on the exact frame their mouths met and stared at my phone until my eyes watered. Then I renamed the file, change order and went to make dinner like nothing in my life had just detonated. I told myself if I blew up right then, I'd get sobbing and excuses and, it was a mistake, and, I'm so confused. And then they'd go underground. They'd get careful. I didn't want careful. I wanted stupid. Open. Documented. So I went nicer. Sweeter. The husband version of Valium. You've been under a lot of stress, I told Nora. Take some time for yourself. I'll deal with the inspector. She blinked like she didn't deserve it. Good. Guilt makes people sloppy. With Miles, I turned into Mr. Friendly Client. Brought donuts for the crew. Laughed at his jokes. Asked dumb questions about grout. I watched his guard drop. I watched him think I was harmless. I also started talking to my neighbor Ruth. Retired teacher. Sees everything. Your contractor was here late last night, she said unprompted on our sidewalk. Hard worker. I said, oh? I was at my brother's. I wasn't. I was in my office cataloging Betrayal. Ruth pursed her lips. In the evenings I fell asleep on the couch more. I left my phone charging on the mantel, camera quietly pointed at the hallway. Twice I caught them through the glass of the back door, bodies too close, hands too familiar. He left first. Always. She watched him go with that soft look she used to have for me. I pressed my tongue hard to the roof of my mouth until the urge to scream receded. On day 19 a subcontractor pulled me aside. Hey man, just so you know. Miles is great but he mixes business with, business. He glanced toward the house. Watch your wallet. I shook his hand like he'd just handed me a key to a vault. Thanks. That night Nora said we should do matte black hardware. I said, Miles will be thrilled. We both laughed. Hers jittery. Mine hollow. I didn't want a private confrontation. I wanted a room full of people, a screen, silence, then the sound of their lives collapsing. So I started planning an end-of-remodel housewarming. I ordered a cheap projector and told Nora it'd be cute to show a time-lapse of the renovation for friends. Oh my God, she said, eyes shining. Let's do it. What? Revenge is sexier when it's not illegal. I wasn't going to throw hands or slash tires. I was going to make their choices expensive. First, I pulled the contract. I highlighted every clause Miles had skimmed. Late penalties, change orders, substitution approvals. I started pushing him to put things in writing. Shoot me an email confirming that, I'd say, every time he promised something with that contractor grin. He'd type quick, not reading, eager to be liked. No problem, brother. Second, I called my bank. Hey, I want to move some funds into a separate high yield for the project. Joint to individual. The banker clicked keys. Need Nora's signature? Nope, I said, I'll fund it from my bonus. We both knew where the money had actually come from. Paper trails matter. Third, I met a city inspector for coffee. Bought him a muffin. Asked about code updates, especially for gas lines and venting. We'll be thorough, he said, not catching the double meaning. Awesome, I said. Safety first. I went home and glanced at the very slightly wrong angle of our new hood duct and felt a tiny, ugly spark of joy. Meanwhile, the cameras kept feeding. Their restraint was melting. Kisses in the doorway. Nora's hand sliding around his back. Once, horrifyingly casual, she wiped a smudge of grout off his jaw with her thumb. He caught her wrist. They smiled like teenagers. I titled that clip, Grout_play_03.me, and went on a run until my rage had somewhere else to go. I also made a burner Instagram. Followed Miles's business account. Liked a few posts. DM'd as a potential client, asking about availability. He replied quick, booked solid next month. Interesting, considering how often he seemed to be at my house after hours. I said nothing to Nora. Played dumb. Let her tell me stories about delays and supply chain, while my drive filled with evidence. 2 days before inspection, I found a receipt in the trash for a boutique hotel across town. Tuesday. 2 hours. Miles's name. Nora's signature for incidentals. My hands shook so hard I had to steady myself on the sink. I didn't confront her. I ordered extra lawn chairs for the party. Inspection day. The crew was jumpy. Miles tried to charm the inspector. We're proud of this one, he said, clapping me on the shoulder like we were pals. The inspector measured, peered, hummed, scribbled. Then he frowned at the venting over the range. This angle won't clear properly, he said. Code strict. It needs to be rerun. Miles smiled too wide. You can fix it, the inspector said flatly. Sign off after. He left a yellow notice taped to the fridge like a scarlet letter for kitchens. Nora's face went tight. Why is this happening? She snapped at me like I'd written the code. I spread my hands. I guess Miles should have read the manual. That night, after they'd slunk out, I switched my housewarming caterer to one with a huge projection screen and portable speakers. We do corporate events, the manager said. You sure you need all this for a little party? Oh yeah, I said. We're going big. Ruth caught me on the sidewalk again. You're having one of your movie nights? Sort of. I love when the whole block comes. Me too, I said and meant it in the worst way. Miles started texting me directly after hours. We'll make it right. Could do a discount for the delay. I said, put it in writing. He did. Bless him. Nora was extra affectionate for 3 nights in a row. Overcompensation is an art form. I let her hug me. I did not hug back. On Thursday I got an email from the licensing board. Thank you for your anonymous tip. We take contractor-client boundary violations seriously. If you're willing to provide documentation. I stared at the words until they blurred. Then I made a new folder called Board and dragged in 3 files. Friday night I fell asleep on the couch and pretended not to hear Nora's soft steps across the hardwood toward the back door. Miles's laugh leaked through the jamb before it clicked shut. I lay there in the dark, wide awake, counting the seconds until I could stand without shaking. The housewarming was Sunday. The clip reel was done. I named the final file before_after_final.mov, and then just under it uploaded during.mov. I slept like a baby. Sunday afternoon the place looked like a magazine spread. Charcuterie, fairy lights, candles and thrifted jars. Nora had spent a whole Saturday staging. Friends, neighbors, Nora's sister, my boss, even Ruth with a lemon loaf just in case. People hugged us, said the kitchen looked amazing, joked about inviting themselves over forever. Nora beamed. Miles showed up late to check one last thing, and lingered like a goddamn guest. He wore a clean black tee that made his arms look bigger. I wanted to peel his skin off. I took a breath and decided to do something worse. I let him stay. When the sun went down I tapped my glass. Thanks for coming, I said. We wanted to show you all the process from start to finish. A little cheer went up. Nora squeezed my hand. Miles leaned against the island like he owned it. The screen lit up. Demolition time-lapse. People laughed at the dust. Framed walls going up and fast-forward. Cabinets sliding into place like magic. Then a cut. The living room angle. Tuesday 11:13 a.m. No narration. Just Nora and Miles stepping too close, voices low, his hand on her lower back. A murmur ran through the room like a ripple on a pond. Someone said, "Wait." Cut. Backdoor camera night. Their shapes pressed together in the threshold, his mouth on hers. The audio picked up the tiniest sound, a soft, hungry sound I'd never heard her make. People gasped. Ruth clutched her lemon loaf like a weapon. Cut. Hotel receipt photo. Miles's signature, Nora's scrawl. Cut. Audio clip. He never hears anything. Miles's laugh. He's upstairs. Cut. Nora's text bubble on a mirrored iMessage. Today too. His reply. Can't stop thinking about you. The room went dead. Nora set her wine down so slowly I thought it would float. Her face was gray. Miles's eyes went flat like a trapped animal. Someone swore under their breath. Someone else breathed, "Oh my God." I didn't cry. Didn't yell. I just let the montage end on a beautiful wide shot of our kitchen. New, bright, gleaming, and then a still frame of the yellow inspection notice on the fridge. Before, I said into the mic, during. I gestured at them both. After. Nobody clapped. Nora whispered, "Please?" Miles said, "This is," and then shut up because he heard himself and realized there's nothing the English language can do for a man that dumb. I thanked the caterer. People began to leave in a kind of reverent panic, like they'd just witnessed a sacrament with teeth. Ruth squeezed my forearm. "You did what you had to," she said, and left her lemon loaf on the counter like a benediction. Nora ran upstairs. Miles walked out the back door. I followed neither. Monday morning I sent the board folder link from a fresh anonymous email to the licensing office. Matter of fact. Dates. Times. A note. Client boundary violations and unpermitted work practices. I CC'd the permit inspector for context. I attached the email where Miles had promised to eat the delay, and the sign change orders he'd never filed. At lunch I called my lawyer. "Remember that post-nup we drafted the year Nora got her promotion, the one we never executed?" "I do," she said. "You still want it?" "I want something that does the same job but yesterday. Come in at 3. By 4 p.m. I had a separation packet that made me feel like I'd been thinking 4 moves ahead since the first time Nora laughed at his dumb jokes. Which I guess I had. At 5, the licensing board replied, "We have opened an investigation." The inspector replied separately, "Thanks for bringing this to our attention. We will be re-inspecting the property." At 6:30, Miles texted me for the first time since the party. "We should talk." I typed, "All communication in writing." He replied, "You're ruining my business." I typed, "You did that." Nora came home at 7. No makeup. Puffy eyes. She stood in the doorway to the living room like a ghost. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so fucking sorry." I looked at her for a long time. "I know. I ended it," she said. I laughed. Not loud. The kind that sounds like an air leak. "You ended it when?" She didn't answer. I nodded at the kitchen. Sit. We have paperwork. She didn't look at it, of course she didn't. People never read the forms that save them. I slid a pen across the table. If you want out, it's here. If you want to stay, this is the only way that happens. She signed like the paper was burning her fingers. I put everything in a neat folder and felt my pulse finally slow. That night I moved the last of the savings into the individual account the banker had set up. I changed 3 passwords and called my brother to ask if I could crash with him for a week. Yeah, he said, voice careful. You okay? No, I said. But I will be. Before I left, I took the lemon loaf Ruth had left, sliced a piece and ate it standing up in the dark kitchen. It was dry. It was perfect. In the morning, the board investigator called. Investigations take time. Gossip doesn't. By Wednesday, the neighborhood WhatsApp had turned from, anyone have a ladder? To, well, that was a show. Someone sent me a screenshot where Miles's business page had 3 new 1-star reviews. Not my doing. People love a clean, righteous pile-on. The board wanted statements. I gave them dates, times, screenshots, no adjectives. The inspector came back and cited Miles for 2 things he should have known better than to wing. We can't sign off, he said, sympathy in his eyes. You'll need someone else to correct this. I thanked him. He shook my hand like he was shaking a hand out of a fire. Nora texted me paragraphs in the evenings. Some apologies. Some bargaining. Some angry spirals like I'd humiliated her on purpose. I muted the thread. My lawyer emailed drafts. I sent back signatures. I moved through my days like I was walking underwater, patient and slow, but everything was weirdly clear. Friday, Ruth knocked. Brought you a proper cake, she said, holding up a chocolate bundt like a trophy. I heard he lost a job this week. Already? I said. She nodded once. Word gets around. She patted my forearm. You'll be fine. I believed her. Sunday night, Miles left a voicemail. Voice rough. I'm sorry. I screwed up. I'll fix the work for free. Just, please stop. I saved the voicemail and texted him. Per counsel, all contact to my attorney. See attached. Monday morning, a certified letter arrived from the board. License suspended pending outcome. I set it on the counter next to the lemon loaf plate like a still life made of consequences. I went back to the house with a new contractor. A woman named Kira who walked in looked up at the vent and said, yeah, he's an idiot. She quoted me a fair number, did not flirt with me, did not make me feel like a mark. I signed the agreement on the spot. Nora called while Kira's crew worked. Can we talk? I stepped outside. We've been talking, I said. I'm sorry, she said again, voice small. I loved you. Past tense. It landed like a thumb on a bruise. I'll send you the draft Tuesday, I said. If you sign, we can both heal. She cried. I stared at the maple tree until the leaves stopped blurring. That night I slept at my brother's with the TV on for static. I dreamed of yellow notices and lemon loaves and projector screens. I woke up with my jaw aching from grinding my teeth. The next morning my lawyer texted, filed. I exhaled. For the first time in months it didn't taste like dust. 3 months later the kitchen worked, finally. Venting correct. Gas lines safe. Cabinets straight. Kira left us a tiny potted basil as a no hard feelings with kitchens gift, and I wanted to cry over a plant. Nora signed. We divided what had to be divided. The post-party gossip cooled. People forgot like they always do, but a few looks lingered, the kind where folks choose a side and are embarrassed about how much they enjoy it. I moved to a smaller place with more light. I learned to cook things that didn't come in boxes. I burned my first attempt at roasted carrots and ate them anyway. Miles's company quietly shuttered. Last I heard he was taking time off. From what? From being a cautionary tale, I guess. Nora moved in with her sister, then out, then somewhere I stopped tracking. She emailed once, do you think we could have been okay if I told you the truth? I deleted it without replying. The truth is a muscle. You either use it or it atrophies. She let it rot. Sometimes I think about the party. The hush. The moment people go from not knowing to knowing, how it feels like a pressure change right before a storm breaks. I don't feel proud. Not exactly. I feel steady. Like I re-entered my own life. Ruth waves when I jog past her place on Saturdays. She still calls me kid, even though I'm 37. You look lighter, she said last week. I said, I am. The projector is in my closet, coiled cables resting like a snake that ate once and will never need to eat again. The cameras are gone. The Wi-Fi plugs are back to being just plugs. The kitchen is quiet in the mornings. Sun on quartz. Basil in the window, stubbornly living. People say revenge doesn't fix anything. Maybe they're right. It didn't put my marriage back together. It didn't rewind time to before I ever knew a man named Miles. But it did one thing I didn't know I needed. It put the story in order. It took chaos and lined it up frame by frame until there was a beginning, a middle, an end. Before, during, after. And now, I'm writing something else.